They told my family that I wouldn't survive 5 more days and that because of my kidneys, I must die. They told them to give me everything I wanted just to say goodbye before I die, for them to not feel guilty.
When they brought him, I felt very sad and didn't know what to do when I saw him. The child's body was very swollen, almost ready to burst.
Everyone wants to live a long time. I'm sure nobody would say, I want to die when I'm 50 years old or whatever. But what would you do if you were told you only have a few days left to live? It's a tough question for both you and me, but this young man was told he had less than 5 days to live because of his kidney disease. Yet, today marks 5 years since then, and he's still here. Now I don't have money for medicine, and I can't pay for dialysis. Luckily, I found someone willing to give me a kidney, thank God. But there's a lot I still can't afford. He's still alive today, but his illness isn't cured. How did this happen? How is his life today? And why do doctors sometimes tell patients they're in their last days? This is the story of how he has been living with death for over 5 years.
My name
is Mugisha. After I finished high school, I got sick with kidney failure. I used to be healthy, but suddenly I started feeling sick often. I felt weak and tired and couldn't eat properly. I went to the doctor, but they couldn't find a specific illness. They said my blood pressure was very high and advised me to drink more water. I tried to stay patient and strong, but I still didn't feel well. I bought some medicine that helped a bit, but most of the time I still felt unwell. Since the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with his kidneys right away, they kept an eye on his high blood pressure. But because he kept drinking, it made his kidney damage worse every day, like adding fuel to a fire. He used to help his family, especially his mom, but as he got weaker, he couldn't do as much. It was the first sign that something serious was going on with him.
My name is Claudine, and I have 6 children, including this one. In 2019, my child started getting sick, and now it's been 5 years. We're starting the 6th year of battling this illness. It was surprising because my child wasn't often sick. We live in the countryside, so we have various chores to do, and my son helped me every day. But one day, he said he felt very tired, and when we got home, he collapsed on the ground. We took him to the hospital, and they helped him, but they said he had high blood pressure. We spent a month in the hospital where they treated his blood pressure, and then we went home. After some time, my child felt better and wanted to go to the city to find a job and earn money to help us at home. So because he felt strong again, I allowed him to go.
I moved to the city like other guys to find a better life and help my parents and little siblings. After 2 months of regular work, I started feeling very weak again. I lost weight, vomited after eating, and felt sick. Then a stranger told me I might have liver disease. I got some medicine for my liver, and I felt better. I started eating again, but then I began to swell up. My legs, face, and belly were all swollen. People from my hometown thought I was getting rich and eating well because I had moved to the city. They didn't realize it was a disease making me swell up. According to science, when your kidneys are failing, they might not be able to remove extra fluid from your body as they should. This can lead to swelling because the fluid builds up in your tissues, making them puffy and swollen. This was the issue he was facing, but people who didn't know thought he was healthy and just gaining weight. My blood pressure got so high that I couldn't see anymore. I was going blind, since I didn't have any family nearby in the city. I called my cousin who also lives here. I told him about my problem, and he helped me go to the main hospital. When I got there, they found out my problem was still high blood pressure, but since I was still feeling bad, they decided I needed dialysis, although I didn't know what that was. They asked for $120, but we were poor, and even the $25 they asked for when we arrived was hard to get. The doctors told my parents they had to do everything possible to get me medical treatment because I was in such a bad condition.
My son was in the hospital for a month. Then another month passed. His father and I were struggling to gather money to pay for the hospital and medicine. Then they said he needed dialysis, which was the first time I had heard of it. They told me he was getting bigger, but I was confused because usually people get thinner when they're sick, not bigger. I felt completely helpless. I asked the hospital to send him home, begging them to let him be near me so I could take care of him at a hospital closer to home. When I finally saw my son, I was heartbroken by his appearance. He was swollen, and I realized I couldn't care for him at home as I had hoped. So, I quickly arranged for transportation to take him back to the hospital. I took him to the local police hospital, where they saw his condition and realized he was still young. They called an ambulance and transferred us to a larger hospital.
I felt hopeless as my weight went from 62 pounds to 84 pounds. It was really bad. My neck had water in it and my whole body was swollen. My family's resources were running low, and then we found out I had kidney failure. I was so sick that I didn't even know what was happening. Things were getting worse every day because even though they found out about the disease, getting treatment was tough. Both parents tried their hardest to save their child's life, but it was a big struggle. The signs indicated that their child didn't have much time left to live.
I went to the hospital where my child was being treated and kept looking after him. After a month, the doctors asked to speak with me in person. They asked if the child was mine, and I said yes, he's my firstborn. Then they told me that the time had come. If I hadn't done anything for my child yet, I should do everything now because he didn't have much time left, and he was dying. They advised me not to refuse anything he asked for so that he could die peacefully.
They told my family I wouldn't survive 5 more days because my kidneys were failing heavily. They wanted my family to give me everything I wanted so I could say goodbye before I died, without them feeling guilty. I kept trying hard and pretended to my mother that I didn't know what was going on. The hospital was near a lake, and I felt like ending my life by jumping in. But I also felt like it might not work, as sometimes when you try to end your life, you don't succeed. I kept being patient, hoping there might be other ways God could help me, but I was in a lot of pain. This is acceptable and not a mistake. Doctors can tell patients they are dying, and it's okay. They need to be honest about what's happening with the patient's health, even if it's serious. This helps patients make choices about their treatment and get ready for what's ahead. Doctors usually share this news with care and kindness, considering how the patient feels and giving them support along the way. But for this young man, God still had other days for him. Even though there was no answer, the chance of healing was still there.
They said I could take him home, but I refused. I felt I had to do everything I could to help him survive. I believed God wouldn't want me to give up because he gave him to me, so I hoped for his help. I asked for an ambulance because they had already transferred to another hospital in the city, but my son wanted to go home first. I wanted to say no, but I remembered they told me to do everything he asked. I felt like I couldn't even get him to the hospital alive, so I agreed and took him home. When we arrived, he hadn't seen his siblings for a long time. He said goodbye to them and told them to pray a lot and respect their parents. I felt sad, but I kept pushing myself, and we went to the large hospital where he got treated.
My mother did everything she could. When I got to the hospital, I started getting treatment, but money became a problem. We had to sell our property and all our family's farm to afford a catheter, which cost $400, but we couldn't afford it. Then my father got sick because some villagers poisoned him, so my mother was left alone to take care of me. I don't usually cry, even when I talk about my illness, but may God bless my mother. I used to the hospital for treatment, and each time it cost $80. Sometimes I pretend to have paid when I haven't, just to get treated. My debt kept growing, reaching $6,000. I asked the hospital for help, and they agreed at first, but later they found out about my debt and stopped helping me. Instead, they told me I had to pay off the debt first. After that, he didn't receive any more help, even though it was crucial to save his life. His family couldn't help because they were far away from the city. He ended up staying in the city with the help of a kind-hearted person while seeking medical assistance. Moreover, his mother, besides looking after him, also had to take care of the younger children because their father was also unwell. At home, my mother plays the role of both parents because my father isn't able to help due to his poor health. The kind woman saw our situation and invited me to her house so I could have something to eat. That's why you found me here. He's here, but it's not enough because the treatment has stopped and the illness is getting worse. It's time for him to recover because luckily, a kind person agreed to donate a kidney, but because of limited resources, his life is still at risk. He's asking anyone with a kind heart to help him because the only problem now is getting enough money for treatment. Right now, I don't have money to buy medicine or pay for the surgery, even though I found a donor, thank God, but there's a lot I need to cover. I'm asking anyone who can help save my life to assist me. I want to become healthy again, so I can support my family, because my illness has left them with nothing. The doctors told me I had to pay off my hospital debt before I could have the surgery. I need to gather money from myself and the donor to cover all the expenses. Anyone with a kind heart can help me get this opportunity to regain my life.
Honestly, I feel really lost and I don't know how to help my child anymore. It's been a tough journey and I'm struggling to find a way forward.
Please consider donating whatever you can spare through givinglife.com by clicking on the link in the description and in the top comments of this video. Your generosity can be the lifeline that Mugisha and his family desperately need. Together, we can help them overcome this obstacle and create a better tomorrow. Let's aim to watch their next video telling us how grateful they are. Thank you for watching. I am Simon Greenwood, and this is Afrimax English. Please remember to subscribe.